So now that we've seen what some of these binaries are, how do we actually get them, right? How do you get these binaries if you're doing some sort of task? There's a few ways to this, right? So the easiest way is recognizing when we say binary, this is the firmware running on the device normally. So if you just get like a firmware update, this might include just the raw file that was running on it, right? So now it's more common they're compressed or encrypted or stuff like that. If you look at older devices, it's very common. It's just the complete firmware of the device is what you download. So if I just Google like Dlink download firmware, right, they'll give you like, hey, here's the latest firmware for lots of these devices. So you can pick a device. If you click this download button, right, so this will give you a .zip file. If you open that file, there'll be a .bin inside it. And this .bin file you can then look at to get a feel for what they look like. You need something called a hex editor. So there's a bunch of them, right, that you can see on Wikipedia. There's one, so the 010 editor is pretty nice, but it's not free. They have like a free trial mode. Hex Explorer on Windows is pretty good. There's a whole bunch of them out there. But what you can see is this will basically give you a view of the data. And some of the useful stuff is that you have the data here, and we have a view of any string. So we're going to look a little more at analyzing some of this with other tools afterwards. But what I want to show you is just, how you can actually find these files at all. The other way you can get them is extracting it right off the system, right? So this was potentially nice because you could just download it. It's more likely to be encrypted or compressed or something like that. The other thing we can do is the system might not protect what's in the memory itself, so we can dump it from the memory. So this was an example from Trammell Hudson doing a spy dump on some device. If you look at like old memory chips, right, it's in really old like arcades and stuff like that, people would actually remove the memory chips and dump it directly from that. So there's all sorts of ways. Nowadays it's less common. You need to always just dump it directly off the memory, but it's something that you can still do. Once you have it, you can just directly open it. This isn't too exciting, right? So there's tools for exploring them. The most prominent tool is something called Binwalker. So this is a tool that lets you, that'll basically try to catch if there's any obvious headers or obvious files within it. If we know it's an executable, so it's directly running the system, which will be common and embedded, we're going to look at something called Ghidra, which is a reverse engineering tool that helps us understand the executable and see what the file itself is. So that's the tool we're going to concentrate mostly on in the project examples. But this lecture is just how you actually get the file, and if you want to open it, you can see that it looks something like, when you look at this, right, you can't directly tell me too much about it. There's a little bit you can learn by if there's strings and stuff like that in it, but that's all stuff we're going to explore more once we get to some examples of it.